Welcome, welcome, my darling. My name is Mellifera, and today we are doing an energy healing session about codependency. So, if you struggle with codependency, I want you to know that first and foremost, it is not your fault. You are doing your best, and I am sure that somewhere along the lines, somewhere in your childhood, you had to really connect with your surroundings to check if you are safe and do everything in order to make sure that you are going to be safe. That in that way you learned to leave your authentic self behind, and that's okay. Everyone is in their own journey, and everyone is making their best efforts, and the soul is the same for you. So if you struggle with codependency, most likely you had to endure a lot of loneliness when you were young. You had to wait and wait for others to come to you because you couldn't go to them for one reason or another, or because you were a child and you couldn't choose differently, or you couldn't find other ways to entertain yourself. And I feel that codependency is the picture of someone who is alone in a room and is waiting and waiting for someone to come into their room in order for them to have company. Like they cannot get out of that room for one reason or another. And that's like a real life scenario for many kids. But now, as we are growing up and we are learning to reparent ourselves, it's very important to understand that you don't have to wait for anyone to give you permission. You don't have to wait for anyone to give a sense of security in your life. You don't have to wait for anyone to give value to your life. And I want to disclaim here that of course we can have valuable connections with other people, and other people can offer value and safety in our lives, but to a certain degree. When we are codependent, we feel that we have to sacrifice ourselves in order for us to have people in our lives. And it is very, very different that you can be your authentic self, and then if you find people that match your energy, that's perfect. But if not, you are able to live your life. And this is the main difference with codependency. Like, codependent people have stayed in that room. They are still waiting for someone to come into their space. They are still waiting behind unsatisfactory relationships to come and change the narrative of their lives. But this is not true. Now you are the parent of your own self, and you can reparent yourself. You can give to yourself value. You can explore hobbies. You can explore different companies, different friendships. You can be a part of social groups. Not one person can fulfill everything in your life. And if you understand that, and if you start building a life around your multiple hobbies and be okay with even staying a little bit alone sometimes, then everything is going to fall into place. Codependency is not a disease. It's something that we had to do in order to survive as kids. But now we can change the narrative. The narrative is in our hands. If you wish to support my work, you will find all the ways to do so down in the description box. And without further ado, let's begin our energy healing session right now.